Welcome to Dear Warriors. My name is Amy Vega, and I am your host. I have worked in the plasma industry for over 20 years. Throughout my career, I was blessed to have worked with the most incredible employees and met the most amazing donors and recipients of plasma. This podcast was started to bring to light what had been in the shadows, the rare disease community. Join me on Dear Warriors, where we will share stories of warriors and so much more. Welcome back, Megan. I'm so happy that you're back with us. I knew you would be. So here's our session of Q&A. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So if you can give up one of your symptoms, which one would it be?
I think it would be pain, probably pain, unknown reason for having pain in my joints sometimes, or fatigue. That's a double-edged sword because sometimes I feel incredibly tired, and I don't think it's a normal tired. So both of those symptoms I'd like to get rid of if I could.
Yeah, I asked somebody about that, the same question to somebody else, and they said the same thing. It is pain. I guess pain is number one for that question. I can imagine being fatigued. It's me. I go up the stairs and I'm like, oh, I can't. So just imagine being fatigued the whole entire day. I just can't even think about that.
Yeah, and I think there's the pain part of it is that there's no explanation for it. Like you spend a lot of time, or I used to spend a lot of time wondering why my foot was asleep, or wondering why my neck was sore, or wondering why my back hurt, and for random reasons, and then it would go away. So no doctors can really ever tell you why.
Yeah.
It does.
Well, I had back surgery, and I literally wake up in pain every single day. There are good pain days. I don't even know if that makes sense. There are good pain days,
Mm-hmm.
and there are like bad pain days. Like you just know when you wake up in the morning, you're going to be in pain. But some days, of course, I can't even walk. So I don't even know if that makes sense. But
Mm-hmm.
good pain, good.
No, it does make sense. And it's hard to decipher if it's that you're getting older also, because people who are not immunocompromised are always saying, oh, my knees hurt, or my this hurts, or my that hurts. But for some reason, you feel like, I don't think it's quite, I think mine might be worse, but you can't say that to anyone, or they'll look at you like,
Right.
my pony's more pink than yours is in the backyard, or whatever.
Right. Oh my goodness.
I don't know.
So what was diagnosis like when you first got diagnosed? What did it feel like?
Well, when I thought about this question, I was actually really happy that I didn't have a brain tumor, because I felt so sick and everything hurt so bad that I literally went to the regular immunologist and was crying in the room. And I said, I think I have a brain tumor because I can't think right anymore. Something is wrong with me. And I was actually kind of relieved that he did blood work and he said, there is something wrong with you. And I figured out what it is. So when I got my diagnosis, I was relieved that I wasn't full on crazy and that I didn't have a brain tumor, but I had no idea really what it entailed to get better, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Took a few rounds, maybe a year of, not even a year. At first month I was on Gammagard, I felt like a little flower that had wilted, and all of a sudden I had energy again. But I had no idea that I thought, okay, we'll do this once and I'll be better. And I didn't have any idea
right.
what. So if that makes sense.
Oh my. No, it makes sense. When you mentioned Gammagard, was that your first choice of medication, or did you have to go through several types of medication until you found that one? Like you have to go through loops and holes and circles and everything just to find that one.
Um, it was my first medication, and I didn't even know that there was other types of medication for this. I was so naive that it wasn't until maybe 5 years on Gammagard that I went to one of those conferences where you bring your whole family and when I went in and all these pharmaceutical places were set up and it was my husband said, are they trying to sell you a car? Because they grab you and show you their latest and greatest and we can provide you this and I didn't even know. I was like, oh, is that the same medicine as Gammagard? And they would say, well, it's a little different because this, and this. And I didn't have side effects from Gammagard and I felt better. So I've stayed with it the whole time.
Okay, so if you get, all right, so let's just pretend, today's your therapy. Do you have to wait like 24 hours for it to feel better, or as soon as you get that juice, you're good? Like, like I'm trying,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My typical pattern is I get infused in the afternoon. I don't feel it right away unless sometimes the hydration helps beforehand because typically we're dehydrated and I think everybody is. So actually having hydration put into your vein makes everybody feel better, I think.
Yeah.
And then I do better the day after I get infused. I don't know why, but if I wake up on my own and not by an alarm, and it's usually not an all day thing, but maybe I sleep an hour later, or 45. If I just, for some reason, if I wake up on my own, the next morning I feel better, period, and I usually stay like that. I mean, I still have to take my other medications and have some, it's not like you're completely, better altogether, but it for me, yes, the next day I feel like a plant that's been watered.
Okay. Yeah, that makes
Sense.
I was, when I was reading your testimony, I'm like, okay. So I was looking through stuff and I'm like is it like quick? I mean, do you have to wait a couple of days until it gets into your system? And you're the subject matter expert, so that's why I'm asking. I'm like, wow, that's pretty good. If you get it in the morning and then the next day you're feeling good, that's some good stuff.
Now, yeah, it is. And I mean, from other people and their stories, some people have nightmarish stories about their infusions and, headaches and reactions and all of that kind of stuff. I just feel blessed, honestly, that 9 times out of 10, I just get my infusion and it does take a long time. 5 hours out of your day is not like, going in to get a shot. But if
Right.
if the pump is set correct and it's not, I have had nurses in the past who I guess they have something to do later who rush the system and you do get a headache. I do get a headache if someone does it faster than 4 or 5 hours. That's the fastest I can go. If that helps. But some other are completely different. Everybody's kind of different with this.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm sure that's going to help somebody out there that's listening and trying to learn what this system does or how infusions are. So that's thank you for that.
Yeah. One thing that I think of too, that when they send you your medication, they usually send, some type of Tylenol and Benadryl along with it. And I have in the past because I'm fair and I have allergic reactions sometimes, whether it's seasonal or food or whatever. If you are that way, usually a dose of Benadryl while you're getting your infusion. Of course, I'm a cheap drunk, so then I'm a zombie during the whole thing. Just the rest of the time. And I don't know. I'm sure there's other people who do that, but it seems to make the whole process easier on your system, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, but most of the time, I have probably 100 Benadryl pills sitting down in a drawer that I
Just
never
don't
use.
say.
Yeah. So it's yeah. You got to kind of prepare yourself. And I've talked to you about this before mentally. It's kind of what you make of it. If you want to make it an okay experience and you move on, then you just get it and you do what you normally do and you walk around with your pump. I think last time I was making chocolate chip cookies that I got infused. So that will tell you something right there. And I'm not asking for a parade because they make cookies. I'm just saying that if you can keep one arm sort of straight so your pump doesn't beat, um, you can fold laundry, you can watch TV, you
And
can play on the computer.
and you can mow the lawn.
You can mow the lawn. I've done that before in the past too. I've helped start the lawnmower too,
Oh my goodness.
There are some people though, like I told you, I've been in infusion suites and there are some people who are super sensitive and don't want to hear a sound while they're getting infused.
Well,
How the crazy house here works.
not
Sorry.
Megan. Oh my God, you're amazing. You're amazing.
So I
Okay.
just, yeah. And I think if you talked at some point when you talk to our youngest daughter, she's been little and grown up with this, she will just kind of tell you we just try to make it as normal as we can. I think maybe, I don't know what she's going to say to you, but I think she'll probably say, my mom is better after her medicine because she knows, the kids kind of know how it's just like anything else, when I don't know how to explain it. You know how you, in your family, the patterns and stuff.
Right. So they're like, Mom, you need to get infused?
Yep. Yes. Yes, exactly. That, and everybody in the house, I can't tell you how many times they'll say, they don't say that. They say, are you getting your medicine soon? That's a nice way of saying, could you help me, please? Because you're not doing much of anything right now.
Oh, no, that's cool. When you have your whole family, they can just know, like, hey, I think you need to be watered today. So let's fix
exactly.
that.
Yep, that's how it rolls. And I would be willing to bet that anyone's on this medication would probably tell you the same thing or a different type of antibody, plasma.
Yeah.
If I didn't have it, I can tell you, I mean, I just think of like this time of year. Before this, by now, I would have been on 3 antibiotics before school starts because of whatever reason, strep throat or bronchitis or pneumonia or a cold or, that kind of stuff.
No, thank God. Thank God that you're past that and, you.
Yes. Yes, you're right.
Done so much better. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for other people that are going through this and that there is plasma. And, I'm the biggest cheerleader, I think, because of my background. I will cheer those donors and,
Right.
without them, there wouldn't be there wouldn't be the medication we need for people like you and other people out there. So I'm the biggest cheerleader.
I know you are. And I mean, you understand that in 15 years, I've never really had a platform like this to try to help people there's a lot of people who are not diagnosed also.
Yes.
And have no idea how to figure out if you're compromised or not. And it's not an easy diagnosis to make, and nobody really makes it. If I wasn't surrounded by medical people in my own family, I'm pretty sure I'd still be going back to the doctor at least once or twice a month asking for medicine. So I don't know. I am hoping, Amy, that you'll be one of the people that gets it out there that says if you are constantly sick, there's something wrong with you, and because of, I don't know, you probably know the answer to the question more than me. It's just, I don't know why they have such a hard time, or they're not willing to be more accurate or do the tests you need to have done, because they can see it as plain as day if you do have it with your numbers.
No, I did see. I've been doing a lot of research, right, for this show, and I'm trying to bring in some positive content and just helpful hints for people that are listening. And there's like a ton of reporting that there's so many undiagnosed people. I mean, how many times do you go to a doctor with the same cold before you say, "Hey"? I don't think it's allergies. Or how many times do you go with, a sore throat, just pain? There's got to be, we have to push. You have to be your own champion. You have to push it and say, I think antibiotics is not working. I think you need to go further. And it's easy for the doctors to just write a script. And I'm not speaking bad of doctors. They have a lot going on too. But, when you just have the rule out thing. Okay, you have a runny nose, you have a headache, you have a sore throat, and you have a fever, or you have, oh, it's a cold, because those are the symptoms. But if you're constantly doing that, there's something wrong.
Exactly. And then you go kind of into that pool of people. I know I was there where they would say, oh, we're not giving you any more antibiotics because you're going to become resistant to it.
Right.
And I was like, oh, great. So now I feel crappy. Now they won't give me any medicine. This is why the bond between you and your doctor when you are immunosuppressed, I mean, I pay extra every month for, the concierge care, so that you need to have a primary care physician who understands it. And then when you call, if you're on, taking plasma and you've been doing it for a long time. So if I were to call my doctor and say, look, I don't know, I really have this bad sore throat and it hasn't gone away for 3 or 4 days. If you have that kind of relationship, they know that you are actually sick, and they are not going to say to you, well, I can't give you any antibiotics this time. How about if you come see me in a week?
Right.
That answer the doctors usually give you.
Right.
On the contrary, they will say, okay, let me call this in for you right now, because they know that you can sink like a ship when you are sick, I mean, but does that answer your?
Yeah.
I mean, I hope people are out there, if they are listening, to find a doctor who understands about it.
Right. Absolutely.
And yeah, any of the big medical centers, like here, Johns Hopkins, or in DC, children's hospitals, they usually have an immunology team that understands all this. And they will refer you out to somebody who lives near you, and hopefully your insurance will work. And it's almost like you're changing from a Toyota to a Honda.
Right.
You really have to change the way you think of how you deal with doctors with this.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's my 2 cents worth of advice.
All right. So here's a good question. What is something that others may not know about you?
So I was laughing really hard when I saw that question. And I still have, and my daughter is listening somewhere, if she is listening, I still have AOL as my email, which everybody just laughs at me anyway. And it's twirler at the beginning of it, because I used to twirl a baton when I was young.
Oh my
And I was
God.
actually a national baton twirling champion.
So
And
was
so,
I. Oh my God.
oh, funny. That's funny, Amy. We have something we can do together, and we can record ourselves.
It
I
is
know. I love
crazy.
twirling. I love all those majorettes that are out there that are, twirling for colleges and high schools and, all of it. I just think it's an art form that I think went to the wayside, but I think it's coming back, Amy.
Oh my
Have you
goodness. I'm crying
TikTok
right now.
has lots of twirlers on it these days.
Because I was last night I was, sending you the invite, right? So I was like, I don't know if it would be rude or I wonder if she likes twirling because I saw your email and I'm like, should I? I'm so, you know what? I'm so glad that this question came up because I wanted to ask you, and I was like, I'm going to ask her offline because I have twirled. I mean, I think I was like 5 years old. I started twirling, and I went to competitions. I traveled. Oh my God,
Yes.
I love twirling. Oh, I have to come
I know.
see you
When we
because
go
we have to
offline, we'll
twirl.
have to have our twirling conversation.
That is
That's so
funny.
funny.
I that's crazy that both of us. Oh my God, that just says our age right there.
Well,
But
and when if you want to relate it back to all this, it makes me think that I probably didn't have the symptoms as as a kid,
yeah,
because it was grueling going, those practices were really hard, and traveling and all that stuff. And I just think when I really developed all this, when it came to a head, I guess would be like my late 30s, early 40s, when I just, like you said, to get rid of the fatigue or the pain,
right.
when it really bad. So it it can come, I think, later in life, and I'm hoping by then. I hope that my youngest doesn't ever get this, and
Right.
I don't know. Maybe they'll figure out all that vaccine stuff and make it work better by then.
Yeah, I mean, plasma is the topic of the talk in town lately, because of
Hmm.
the convalescent plasma. But industry's working hard to make things a little simpler, and hopefully those 5 hour infusions will get even easier or shorter, or
Right.
you never know. The industry is always developing new things, and the one thing I could tell you is they always have that recipient in mind. They're developing extra things, and they always have that recipient in mind. So we'll see what happens as the years go by, and plasma continues to be the talk of the town, and COVID's not going anywhere anytime soon. So there's more plasma talks, and it's going to be
Right.
a regular conversation. Like, people talk about plasma more now than in my 20 years of being in the
Exactly.
industry.
That's what I was thinking. That now, I actually had someone who was a teacher that I knew before, and I don't think she ever knew that what I would get infused with or whatever. And she said to me the other day, "Are you getting the COVID plasma?" And I was like, "Well, no, not really." But because people don't really understand what it is. And I'm like, "No, but eventually I think COVID will be added to our cocktail so that we have some defense from it, because I still think all these people who are dying from COVID that are younger,
Right.
that there's real explanation. I mean, if they have something obvious that they say, I think a lot of them are immunosuppressed and were never diagnosed, and therefore they have nothing fighting for them, and I don't know, because when you think, okay, if they're sick in the hospital and they get it and they're getting better, well, maybe they would feel better if they were on it all the time, you
Right.
know. So, but I don't know. I'm not a scientist. It's just my little layman's observation.
No, they say plasma is, it's what you have in your body to to help cure your, it's what they call the miracle, right? The miracle part of the
Mhm.
blood. It's the healing part. Plasma nowadays is used for to grow hair. They're using plasma to grow hair. There's like studios everywhere that are using it. They draw out a little bit of plasma, a little bit of blood from your arm. They spin it and then they separate it, right? And that serum in that same day, they separate it and they take that yellow, the gold, and they inject it. They inject it in your head, on your head. And then it's your own plasma, so it doesn't have to be tested, right? So they do it right there. And they inject it under the skin in your scalp, and all of a sudden, magically, you're growing hair. Women are using it for wrinkles. I went to a place in Tampa. It was crazy, and they told me they'll work. It's called Dracula or some vampire type of beauty thing that they're doing, and they literally put plasma in like your wrinkles, and then they magically go away. This plasma is supposed to heal you. It's supposed to heal you. So some people can't get the plasma to heal them. Like for instance, you needed extra plasma to heal you, but
Right.
plasma is being used for everything for joint pain. Some of the physical therapists are like therapy sessions where like sports medicine, they're taking plasma from the person, spinning it, and injecting plasma into the joints. Where the plasma, then I guess I don't know what happens to it, if collagen produces from it, or I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but I can tell you that plasma is being used for so many other things that people have no idea.
Well, I totally believe you because I know when the Dr. Hurtado was who diagnosed me, and he said to me, "This is what they used to give people in wars, in battle, because it helps you heal
Yeah,
faster."
yeah,
And when they would get infections from wounds and burns, and I was like, "Oh, I remember hearing him say that to me, and I just kept thinking, oh, I never knew that." So,
no,
but
I
I
didn't
guess
know.
it goes back to that early diagnosis question. There is no one out there once you get this diagnosis. Now there is more. Now there's a foundation and there's stuff, but it's almost like they should force you to go to immune deficiency school after you've been diagnosed so that you start to learn the tricks,
Yeah,
of
to
the
get the
trade.
tricks of the trade. I
And
agree.
there's a lot of them, but I don't know. That maybe in our second we can do that.
Absolutely. Okay, so here's the ending of our little Q&A. What advice can you give others that are newly diagnosed and that are struggling with learning how to live within the rare disease community?
Within the what? I'm sorry.
Within the rare disease community.
Um. Yes, I saw that. I My advice on that is to first of all not feel like you've been sent like to the leper camp on an island and no one's ever going to understand what's wrong with you. I
Right.
mean, it's a diagnosis. It's not, in my case, not life threatening. It was almost more like life improving. Like, let's figure out how we can feel better. And to actually try to hook up with like these different foundations that are already formed that have resources there for you. And the biggest thing is to find a primary care doctor that understands you and what it is that's wrong with you and how to treat it. Because my extra money that I spend each month, I think it's like $45 for this concierge care. It's not much. And you think, okay, I spend $7 on a cup of coffee somewhere, and today's society, okay, I'll spend. They don't understand that one person can make the magic happen for you. They can help you with when you can't go to work. They can write notes for you. They can help you guide your way through when things are tough. I mean, everything from when the time you go to an emergency room, you're supposed to have a card where they'll put you in a different space. I don't know if that will happen right now with COVID, but
Right.
It's your primary care or an immunologist is key in this game. And then getting a good nurse to administer your medicine is the next step. Everything else will fall into place after you get those two things done. And having your family understand and support you. And then we as patients have to play by the rules too.
Right.
You can't all walk around your house saying, I'm sick, blah, blah. And because that's not fun either for them
Right.
to deal with.
Right. That's awesome. We are not just sharing stories on Dear Warriors. Our goal is to help change lives. And when you share this podcast, you are helping to change lives too. Listen to this podcast on your favorite streaming platform. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, and God bless.